Rules for happiness, something to do, someone to love, something to hope for. The reading of all good books is like a conversation with the finest minds of past centuries. Experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play. We are not rich by what we possess, but by what we can do without. There must be a seed of every good thing in the character of men, otherwise no one can bring it out. Character means that the person derives his rules of conduct from himself and from the dignity of humanity. As everybody likes to be honored, so people imagine that God also wants to be honored. They forget that the fulfillment of duty towards men is the only honor adequate to him. Too much discipline makes one narrow and kills proficiency. Politeness belongs not to discipline but to polish, and thus comes last. Act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, never merely as a means to an end, but always at the same time as an end. Look closely. The beautiful may be small. One who makes himself a worm cannot complain afterwards if people step on him. For peace to reign on earth, humans must evolve into new beings who have learned to see the whole first. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. The busier we are, the more acutely we feel that we live, the more conscious we are of life. Genius is the ability to independently arrive at and understand concepts that would normally have to be taught by another person. I ought never to act except in such a way that I could also will that my maxim should become a universal law. Man must be disciplined, for he is by nature raw and wild. Nothing is divine but what is agreeable to reason. Immanuel Kant. Only the descent into the hell of self-knowledge can pave the way to godliness. A person who already displays cruelty to animals is also no less hardened towards men. We can already know the human heart, even in regard to animals. Nature does nothing in vain, and in the use of means to her goals, she's not prodigal. I ask myself only, can you also will that your maxim become a universal law? It is difficult for the isolated individual to work himself out of the immaturity which has become almost natural for him. The master is himself an animal and needs a master. I am an investigator by inclination. I feel a great thirst for knowledge and an impatient eagerness to advance, also satisfaction at each progressive step. A plant, an animal, the regular order of nature, probably also the disposition of the whole universe, give manifest evidence that they are possible only by means of and according to ideas. When I treat a man contemptuously, I can inspire him with no practical desire to appreciate my grounds of truth. When I treat anyone as worthless, I can inspire him with no desire to do right. The wish to talk to God is absurd. We cannot talk to one we cannot comprehend, and we cannot comprehend God. We can only believe in him. The humiliating difference between laymen and clergymen must disappear, and equality spring from true liberty. It is much more natural and reasonable to assume that a nebula is not a unique and solitary sun, but a system of numerous suns. To a high degree we are, through art and science, cultured. We are civilized, perhaps too much for our own good, in all sorts of social grace and decorum, but to consider ourselves as having reached morality. All that is required for this enlightenment is freedom, and particularly the least harmful of all that may be called freedom, namely the freedom for man to make public use of his reason in all matters. He must not be obliged to dissimulate. He must acquire immediate horror of lies, must learn so to respect the rights of men that they become an insurmountable wall for him. Freum isi alone unoriginated, berthectaman, and belongs to him by force of his humanity. Whatever concept one may hold from a metaphysical point of view concerning the freedom of the will, certainly its appearances, which are human actions, like every other natural event, are determined by universal laws.